Hello everybody, I'm hoping you guys are having an amazing Friday so far. Today's training is all about how to gain confidence, especially when you're first starting out. Because I know it can be hard, there's a lot of competition out there, there's a lot of you just getting used to things and how am I going to run this business, especially if, yes, you may just be starting out, but this is probably your first business ever. If it's not, you've probably seen success before, so you're probably much more confident than the rest of us, but I know that we all struggle. So this is hopefully going to be just a couple of tips to kind of get rid of all those things that are making you doubt yourself. So first of all, let me just say that confidence is something that you need to continuously work on. All right, like I do consider myself to be a very confident person, but I'm not confident all the time, and I don't expect any of you guys to just be 24/7, I got this, I'm amazing, etc. It's more about finding different tools that you can utilize to kind of keep the lack of confidence away if it ever does creep up. And the reason why it might creep up, it could be different things. Sometimes you work with somebody as a client who is perhaps more ahead than you are. So that can be intimidating. Or perhaps the type of project that you're working on is a new offer that you have, or it's more intricate or complicated. So any of these kind of things can bring up those feelings of like inadequacy, where you're just like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, or I don't know if I'm gonna do a good enough job, or are they gonna be happy with the results, etc., etc. So we're talking about confidence and the fact that it's not always gonna be perfect. I'm not perfect, you guys aren't perfect, I know we're all just human, but hopefully with today's takeaways we have a couple more tools in our tool belt that are going to help us move forward. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll know that earlier this week and last week I was struggling a little bit with confidence, not going to lie about that. I shared a live and then turned it into an IGTV talking a little bit about that, and I won't go crazy into detail because I know a lot of you guys have already watched it, but maybe I'll share a little bit because I know between Facebook and Instagram there's obviously different audiences, so I want to make sure to share this story even if a summarized version with you guys because it's real. I was lacking confidence last summer, I was lacking confidence again within the last 2 weeks, so it's just something that's bound to happen. In my case, the reason why I was experiencing a little bit of lack of confidence lately is because I'm going through a growth spurt in my business where I've been pivoting drastically. I'm experiencing all new challenges, so it is hard, and it's something that you need to be mindful and protect yourself and take care of yourself in order to kind of make sure that yes, you might have self-doubts, you might have things that make you nervous, you might have challenges come around, but they don't matter. Like, those challenges are what's gonna allow you to grow. So you almost need to welcome them and just use certain strategies or tips to kind of help you move forward and make sure that you're not letting it get the best of you. I tend to screenshot my testimonials or even just messages from people where they said like, oh, I love this, or oh, I love, whether it's something that I said, whether it was my offer, whatever they kind of complimented me on, I tend to screenshot those, even if they're not social proof or anything for me to share with my audience. It's more about me taking the time to really acknowledge that whatever it is that I'm doing, doesn't matter what, whether it's business, life related, people are either resonating with or they're loving it, and you should 100% do that. For any of you that are not really taking the time to acknowledge those I don't know, like those compliments and testimonials, whatever it is that's coming through, definitely take a moment to do so, because they do make you feel better and they make you feel good, and they make you really recognize the accomplishments that you've made along the way, as opposed to just kind of forgetting about them. Because let's be honest, how many of us continue growing, moving forward, and then we don't look back? So if you're not looking back, you tend to forget how far you've come. And if you're forgetting how far you've come, you probably get stuck on the fact that you're not good enough. And that's complete BS, because you are good enough. You've made immense strides inside of your life, inside of your business. So you want to be able to recognize that, sit back, and just be able to let those emotions come out. How do you feel? Like, are you feeling excited? Are you feeling proud? Whatever those feelings are, just really sit in them and acknowledge and just let them kind of fester, because all that good energy is going to attract even more positive energy. So you want to make sure to really take that moment to enjoy the compliments that you're getting left, right, and center. Because trust me, whether it's from a friend, from a previous client, whoever it is from, you are getting compliments. You're maybe just not taking the time to acknowledge and essentially feel them. And that lack of acknowledgement is what's making you think that you're not getting any compliments at all. And you are. You just need to take a second. If you guys aren't doing that right now, make sure you have a database, even if it's just on your website, of these testimonials or this whatever proof that you have that you're amazing. And if you're ever feeling down, go ahead, go check it out and just read what all these amazing people have to say about you being amazing. So with that said, I do want to dive into this training all about how to gain confidence when you're just starting out. And as you can see clearly, even if you're not just starting out, this is still very helpful, because whether you're pivoting, you're growing, you're facing a new challenge, whatever it is that's happening inside of your life and business, you're likely to experience some lack of confidence, and that's perfectly fine. It's just about how we deal with it, how we handle it, and how we move forward that matters the most. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys when it comes to building that confidence is to prepare. This is all about making sure that you're ready, because when you're ready for something new, something old, whatever it might be, you feel confident because you know you can do it. So when we're looking at a business, there's different things that you can do in order to prepare. So one of the first and most obvious things is to have your foundation. So that's your business strategy, your brand strategy, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to go crazy in depth into strategy today because that's not the point of this training, but just so that you get a sense of how that actually helps you to prepare. It's when you build your foundation, you know exactly where your business is all about. You have a solid plan and goals. You know who you are, what you value, etc. You know who your ideal client is, you know your services, how you're going to help them with the transformation, you know your messaging, your story, you know your entire business and model inside and out. And with that comes the confidence, because you know exactly how you're going to get from point A to point Z. You know exactly how you're going to get your client from the pain and the struggle to the goal and the transformation. So with all that, you have so much confidence in your services and your business that it shows. It shines through every time you show up. It shines through whenever you post something on Instagram or any other social media platform. It shows up in your sales calls because you believe it. You know without a doubt that you're on the right path. So having that foundation ensures that everything you do going forward has purpose and it is very strategically planned for success, for your kind of success. So foundation is one of the things that I would definitely recommend if you haven't looked at. Make sure that you have that very solidified inside of your business so you can feel a little bit more confident. So the first step of being prepared is laying your foundation. Now moving on, the next thing you can do in order to feel truly prepared is to have a process in place. So I don't care what it looks like, it all is going to depend on your business specifically, but preparing could be something like having contracts ready. It could be having templates if you need any templates. It could be having all the systems and software. Like, are you going to need email marketing? Are you going to need Asana or some sort of like client relationship management tool? Whatever it is that you're going to need. Once you land the client, make sure you have a clear idea. Sometimes that just looks as simple as having a checklist that says, hey, this is going to be my step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's how I'm going to run the entire project. If that's as simple as it gets for you, that's enough, that's fine, but you're prepared. And the whole point of having that process solidified is that, one, you know that the client experience is going to be solid, because you have everything ready to go. You're not going to be scrambling, and that scrambling could create a sense of like uneasiness and lack of confidence. But then finally, when you're actually trying to land a client, if you are able to really simply eloquently explain what your process is going to look like, it's going to be much more convincing, but as well as it's going to make this lead feel very comfortable in your abilities to essentially deliver, because you know your process inside and out. You know how you're going to take them from point A to point Z. So knowing your process is definitely a good way to gain that confidence and prepare as a business owner. And then finally, another way to prepare is to have a very strong portfolio. So this is, again, going to look very different depending on your business. If you're a brand designer, that's one of the easiest things to do because you just design a bunch of brands, whether it's your own, some past clients, maybe some concepts that you create based on your ideal client and who they would be. Whatever it is much easier because you can just create. If your role is something different and you're not a brand designer, perhaps it's a little bit harder to come up with what your portfolio is going to look like, especially if you are just starting out and you don't have clients. But even then, even if you consider taking on whether it's like one free client if you're really just starting out, or just at a lower fee, or perhaps you use yourself as a portfolio piece. What have you achieved in your business? Whether that's if you're a social media manager, you can show whether it's your engagement or whatever it is that you are helping your clients achieve. With that offer, you can showcase yourself as a success story. So the whole point of that is to have a strong portfolio that makes you feel confident because you have proof that you have succeeded already. Whether that's built a beautiful brand or a strategic brand, or whether that is gained X amount of new followers, built an engaged following, a community, whatever you're trying to prove to your new leads, you have solid proof that you are amazing and you can bring about results. So that's gonna help you 100%. You're gonna feel way more confident because you're ready, you have the proof. So now it's just about convincing people that you are the right fit, whether it's personality wise, because you've got the process, you've got the portfolio, you've got everything you need. So now it's just about clicking with these people that you're jumping on calls with or that you're interacting with on social media. So that was essentially step number 1, which is all about preparing, and that's definitely gonna help you feel more confident. So let me know, how many of you guys, just in general, struggle a little bit with confidence? Let me know in the comments. I won't judge, because I'll tell you right now, especially if you guys weren't here for the first couple minutes of this live, I struggle with confidence 100%. It comes and goes in waves. It depends what's happening on that day, on that week. It depends what's happening on my business. It comes and goes, and that's perfectly fine. We're human and we're entitled to these kind of emotions. It's just about finding ways to essentially avoid it, or if it's not even avoid it, it's just learning to live with it, to grow from it, etc. So the next step I want to go into when it comes to building confidence when you're starting out is to work on your mindset. Now, for people that are not currently working on your mindset and never have, I know for a fact 9 out of 10 of you will say, I do not need mindset. That's BS. I gotta tell you, you're BS. And I mean that in the least offensive way possible. But trust me when I say working on your mindset makes a huge difference. I can share some stories based on my experience, but honestly, making sure that you're taking care of yourself first makes a huge difference, okay? And sorry if that came across too aggressive. You totally don't have to get into mindset. You can do absolutely whatever you want. Take the tips that I'm sharing with you today, or just ignore them if they don't all work for you. But I do want to kind of go a little bit into mindset and why it's so important, because it has helped me a lot, and it allows you to have a healthy relationship with yourself, with your mental health, and your business overall. When you take care of yourself first, you're better able to then deal with whether it's comparison, feeling of inadequacy, maybe you're not good enough, like your skills aren't developed enough, whatever it might be. Working on your mindset can help you move past that so that it doesn't hold you back, because holding you back is the worst thing that can happen, because you have something amazing to offer to the world, and if it's you that's holding you back, that's the saddest thing ever, because you can't blame it on anybody. It's you that held yourself back, right? So when it comes to mindset, there's different things that you can do, but in essence, it's all about making sure that you are protecting your energy, that you are building good habits, and that you have essentially some sort of system to make sure that you're it's not really calming yourself, but it's just grounding yourself in a way. So I'll illustrate what that could look like, at least based on my examples and my current setup in life. But what I like to do as a random example is to have a morning routine. So how that helps me and build that confidence is that it actually kicks off my day on a really good note. So there's so many things that you can do as part of a morning routine, but whether that's journaling, whether that's meditating, whether that's just doing exercise, perhaps it's watching a light show that's not too intense. The point is to find things that bring you joy, so you're kicking off the day on the right foot. That gives you higher levels of productivity. You start already feeling you're productive. You've checked so many things off of your list that everything you do going forward, it kind of feeds off of that positive energy. And imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up and slacking off, essentially doing absolutely nothing. Perhaps instead of waking up at 8, you scroll through Instagram for 2 hours, or TikTok, or your emails. Then you get a stressful email from a client who wants something delivered ASAP or didn't like something that you delivered previously. And all those are almost like negative energies. They just create a little bit of stress, and that stress eventually, and that anxiety morphs into a lack of self-confidence, because you're feeling like you're not getting things done and like you're not good enough. And perhaps this is not something that happens to everybody, but I find that a lot of people do deal with anxiety. And when you're not kicking your day off on a good note, you're not really providing a good foundation for the rest of your day. So having a morning routine is just one example of the ways that you can essentially work on your mindset. There's other exercises you can do. Sometimes it's not about exercises. Sometimes it's just about taking a break. So instead of working yourself to the ground and working 8 hours in a row, take those little breaks along the way so that you can feel refreshed. And what's so great about that is sometimes, yes, you feel like you have so many deadlines and you have so many things that you have to focus on. But taking that little break will ensure that you come back with more energy, more creativity, because you're not burning yourself out. And that will all ultimately bring about more confidence, because you end up getting better results when you're refreshed and where you're not burnt out. Because when you're burnt out, then you start feeling like you're not good enough. You deliver worse results because you just don't have the right energy anymore. And then that brings about a lack of confidence because you feel like you're not good enough. So you see how everything, I know it's like a spiraling effect, and it doesn't have to happen every single time, but it is something that tends to happen when you don't take care of yourself first. So yes, you can plan, yes, you can prepare for the best experience and the best business, but if you're not taking care of yourself first, you risk the potential to essentially spiral down, not feel that confidence, feeling like you're not good enough, and then that ends up reflecting in the way that you show up, in the way that you attract clients, and you end up not succeeding to the extent that you could have. I'm not saying you're not going to be successful, because I was definitely successful when I wasn't working on myself. I was making good money, etc., etc. However, once I started taking care of myself first, I realized that the level of success started to skyrocket, and it started to change. It was more aligned with the ways that I wanted to grow, and it's something that was very powerful inside of my business. I wouldn't want to essentially push whether it's a mindset tip or strategy or anything on you. However, maybe try it a couple times where you just don't look at your phone first thing in the morning, and instead start with something that feels productive. So instead of scrolling, maybe listen to a short podcast on something that you find interesting, whether it's something personal or something business related. Perhaps try journaling if that's something that you might be interested in. It's very nice with journaling. You can try like gratitude exercises, so you start feeling already very grateful for your life and your business and everything that you've accomplished. And it has to do with that recognizing and acknowledging. It goes back to testimonials. Acknowledging everything you have and you have succeeded creates such good energy that it starts to attract the same energy back into your day. Even though I would spend more time in bed doing these mindset activities or morning routines, once I got out of bed, I was so productive and I got so much done that in the end it didn't matter, because before I was spending all that time on Instagram or doing whatever that was procrastinating, and then let's say I spent the same amount of time procrastinating, but then when I showed up, I felt kind of useless. Like I felt guilty that I had spent so much time doing nothing, and then it kind of like festered into the rest of my day. So like I said, all these methods, recommendations, whatever you want to call them, they don't always work for everybody, but I definitely recommend just trying, giving things a shot, because you'd be surprised at the results that you can get. So even if it's not a morning routine, sometimes it's just taking breaks throughout the day. Perhaps it's taking a bubble bath at the end of the night. Whatever it might look like for you, find something that brings you joy and takes you away from the day-to-day routine, the day-to-day work stuff. Let's move on to step number 3 when it comes to gaining confidence. So we've prepared, we've worked on our mindset. Now, honestly, it's very simple. It's just do the damn thing. There is a lot to be said about taking imperfect action, because yes, you can set your goals, you can make a plan, you can prepare as much as possible. But if you get stuck in all of that, you again end up holding yourself back, because you're waiting for the perfect moment. You're waiting to have everything beautifully lined up so that you can deliver something perfectly. But in the end, you do nothing. You don't take action because you're still waiting for that perfection that, yes, maybe you'll reach at some point, or perhaps you'll never attain. So then why waste all that time preparing if it's going to be for nothing? So this actually ties back into the story that I kind of alluded to at the beginning of this live. And I'll share with you guys, I know a lot of you guys have heard it because you do follow, we're part of the same community inside of Instagram. However, I figured even if like a short version, I'll share it with you after the next point, because it does have to do a lot with not taking action. And not taking action, there can be a lot of regret in there. So let's tie this back to confidence. When you take imperfect action, when you actually go out and do the damn thing, you essentially are practicing. And when you practice, when you do over and over and over again, that's when you start gaining confidence, because you know for a fact that you can succeed. You know that you can perform the task. You know that you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that's what builds that confidence. So if you feel like you're just starting out and you're not sure you're good enough, you're not sure you'll land the clients, start. Like, just even if it's in a small way, like a smaller package or a smaller price point, whatever it is, just start. So that then you have proof just for yourself. I don't care about social proof at this point. Is you can prove it to yourself that you can do the thing. And when you can do the thing, you show up much more passionately, much strongly, and much more convincing in the future because you have that confidence. So doing the damn thing, taking imperfect action. Yes, sometimes you'll blunder along the way, but that's okay. You can learn from those mistakes. And there's actually a lot of growth that occurs when you make a mistake. And when you have to fix it and pivot and adjust based on those barriers or obstacles that you encounter, you grow so much, and it's in a good way, I promise. Like, yes, you might feel a little bit inadequate or like you messed up or whatever, but the way that you come out from it and the other side can be really, really powerful, and that can even give you more confidence in itself. So let me know how you're feeling about all of this so far. I know some of you were saying that, yes, they're willing to try the mindset stuff, or you're willing to essentially prepare, or you have prepared already. But let me know how it's sounding overall. I've got some notes here that I got to check. We've got 3 more points to go through, all about building confidence, and that will essentially take us through today's training. So the next item, this is where it hits home for me, especially this past week. And if you watch my live, you'll know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. It's comparison. And my tip to you is don't fall into the comparison game, because to compare yourself against somebody else makes no sense. Everybody else has their own journey. Okay, they have their own story, their own experiences, their own skill set, their own connections. Like, there's so many things that make them different than you and different than everybody else, that it makes no sense to be comparing yourself to people that are in theory doing better than you, because they're not better than you. They may be making more money, maybe they have more years of experience, maybe they have really cool clients that you'd love to have yourself, but that doesn't make them better than you. It just makes them successful, period. And in that sense, it doesn't make you less successful yourself either. It's just about making, I don't know, it shows you, if anything, what's possible. So I don't want you to be comparing yourself, because that's going to bring about that feeling of inadequacy and lack of confidence, because you're going to start doubting, okay, why aren't I like them? Why don't I get those clients? Why aren't making that much money? How come my launches don't do as well? And you start second guessing everything that you're doing. And why? you've probably had successes in your own business too. They just look a little bit different. So it's just about honoring and enjoying and being proud of your own success story, and then building upon it and continuing to grow. Whereas just comparison, it's gonna make you feel shitty. And for what? It's an absolute waste of time. And I'll share a little bit of my story and why I believe it's such a waste. And it's essentially, for lack of a better whatever, it's your fault. You're holding yourself back. We were talking about comparison and about taking action and doing the damn thing. So for those of you guys that did not catch my live, this is where I'll share a little bit, like a short and abbreviated version of my live the other day, earlier this week. What it was is essentially my experience with comparison, and this has been like a very long and ongoing experience with the exact same issue, let's say. So what had happened is, over a year ago at this point, I had come up with an amazing offer. And I was so excited about it. It would have been my bread and butter. I was really knowledgeable in the subject. I knew people wanted it and needed it. I needed it at the time. So I came up with this brilliant offer. I created the entire thing. And then I was like, okay, it's time to like really fine tune it, put it together, and essentially put it out into the world. And what had happened is I all of a sudden, by fluke, to somebody that I was following who was very successful, and they put out the exact same offer at the exact same time. And the reason why this like hit me so hard too is because this was a pretty niche offer. It wasn't just like a regular service that we all provide like a similar variation of it. It was something so unique and different that, yes, perhaps it was done before. I'm not saying I made it up, but it was something that there wasn't much of out there, and I knew there was a need and a demand for it. So to see somebody put that exact same offer and then have success with it, although that should have essentially proven even further that there was a need for it, it made me second guess myself. And so much so that I actually pulled back my offer. I never announced it, I never finished it, and I just put it away. And it sucked because I was really excited about it and I knew how good it was gonna be. And there was just so many reasons to do it, but now there was an even stronger reason not to. And it was because I didn't feel confident anymore. Here there was this other person who beat me to the punch and launched their offer, who had 3 years more experience than I did, who was making more money, I assumed, and who essentially already had success and who had way more followers than I did. And just, it's all the things that I was comparing, which looking back now was so dumb of me, because this was a year ago, and since then I've seen even more people launch similar offers, and I'm just sitting here like, why? Like, why did I hold back? Like, what a waste. All these people are still, despite the competition and despite the fact that they had less experience, followers, whatever comparison things we're using, and they still went ahead. They didn't care. So I'm like, why did I care? Why was I doubting myself? Why was I thinking that I wasn't going to be successful? Why was I thinking that, I don't know, that it just wasn't worth it and I wasn't good enough? And all that to say that I was holding myself back. And why? Again, why? And it's that self-doubt, and I guess I wasn't working on myself, and I wasn't looking at it for what it was, which is proof that people want what I was creating. And people did want it. Once I got past that and moved forward and decided I don't care that other people have put out this offer, I need to follow my passion and my heart and do what I feel is right. And I revamped my offer again. I made sure to like put it all together and whatnot. And as soon as I did so and I put it out into the world, I ended up getting messages being like, oh, I wish I had seen this like a month before. I would have invested in this one instead of the other one. Or, oh, I'm not ready to invest now, but I really want to start saving for it in the future. Like, I started getting all this feedback and all these people being essentially, I love what you just did and what you have to offer and I want it. And I'm just like, so why was I second guessing myself? Like, why was I thinking that I wasn't good enough? Why was I lacking confidence? And I just wanted to share that with you guys because it's just proof that it doesn't matter what other people are doing. You gotta almost put blinders on and just do what you believe is right for you. So is there a need for what you want to put out there? Do you want to put that out there? Then just do the damn thing. Don't hold yourself back, because then you'll be like me, missing an entire year's worth of potential, either whichever way you want to look at it. It's a year's worth of sales, it's a year's worth of helping people, it's a year's worth of pursuing my passion, and for what? For nothing. Just for me to feel insecure and have self-doubt and whatever else. So if you're holding back on something, let me know in the comments. Do you have like a wicked idea that you just keep working on and trying to make perfect and you're not sure if to put out? Because if you have an idea, let's talk about it. It doesn't have to be on this live, but let's talk about it, because I want you to do it. Just do the damn thing, go forward, build that self-confidence in whichever way you can, and just do it, because you'll be so happy. You'll be grateful that you got it out there, and you'll be proud because you did it and you got something out there that people want and need, and it's a step in the right direction. So do the damn thing, definitely recommend it. All right, so we've got 2 more points left. The next one is to get out of your own way. So it ties into everything we've been saying. So essentially, when it comes to getting out of your own way, what you want to make sure you're doing is that you're taking steps. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the whole perfectionist kind of mentality. If you're waiting for something to be perfect and you're making sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, and you're making sure that you've done everything inside and out and it's just perfect, it's a waste. Honestly, just do it, get it done. Make sure that at a minimum, the way that you've done it gets the transformation and puts the value out that you intended to put out. And that's good enough. Just get the thing, start promoting it, start telling people, start creating the funnels, just put it out there. Because otherwise, if you're waiting for the perfect moment, that perfect moment may not come. You may end up like me, waiting an entire year. And what happens when it comes to confidence, like let's tie it back into the entire theme, is that when you wait, you start finding too many reasons to continue to wait. So whether it's waiting for it to be perfect, or redesigning it because it doesn't look good anymore, because your style changed or whatever, now you're holding yourself back because your own brand isn't perfect enough. Honestly, I don't care about those things. I know branding is important. I know having things as perfect as possible could be important. Like, I get why all the excuses you'll make to yourself will sound reasonable, but when it comes down to it, they're not. And every decision that you make and every argument that you make in order to hold yourself back will essentially kind of start like festering, because then you're feeling inadequate, you're feeling like it's not perfect, and that starts to bring about the self-doubt. Then you either get burnt out because you're focusing on things that you're not as passionate about, and you're putting the things that you truly are passionate on the back burner, and just it all, again, it's a spiral effect where you second guess yourself, then you lack the confidence, and then if you ever get around to actually launching it, you're not gonna be as confident. And if you're not as confident, it's not going to be as successful as it could have been. So let go of that perfectionist kind of mentality. Do the thing, don't hold yourself back, and then you won't spiral. And then you'll actually end up learning from it. So if it's not successful the first time, who cares? Honestly, most launches aren't usually successful the first time around. Yes, there's people that get 10K launches. Yes, there's people that get 6-figure launches, but they got there by trial and error and by trying different things and by taking imperfect action. So you are more than anybody entitled to take imperfect action. So don't hold yourself back and get out of your own way. What can happen with that too is that because you experience all the self-doubt and all that stuff, you end up giving up. So luckily, yes, I held myself back for a year, but luckily I didn't give up and actually went ahead and did the damn thing. But a lot of the times people do give up, and then they decide that it wasn't a good idea to begin with, and they just dump it. And that's just so sad, because there was obviously a big reason why they were doing it in the first place and why they should have pulled through. But we get in our own way. So this brings us to our last tip when it comes to building that confidence. And this is a fun one. This is all about celebrating. So it kind of ties and goes full circle with the testimonials and acknowledging them and feeling the feels. when it comes to celebrating, if you've accomplished something, and I don't care how big or small the accomplishment is, when you've kind of checked something off your list, when you've checked one of your goals off, you need to sit in that and really acknowledge it. It's not about being like, oh yeah, I did it, like that's awesome. But I want you to actually find a celebratory activity. And this also, I don't care how big or small it is. It could be as small as sitting down, shutting everything off, grabbing your favorite drink, sipping on your wine, and feeling the emotions. Simple as that. Or you can go out for dinner, or you can buy yourself whatever it is that you've been eyeing online. So the whole point is to associate success with something that makes you happy. So whether it's the glass of wine, the shopping experience, the dinner, maybe you just cook your favorite dinner at home and you blast music and you just have fun and dance in the kitchen. Whatever it is, I want you to associate the success with something that makes you feel good. And essentially you're accentuating all those feelings and you're acknowledging them and you're feeling them. And that helps you recognize your success. It makes sure that you feel confident about it as opposed to always focusing on the next thing. I don't want you to think about the future 24/7. I want you to live in the journey as opposed to the destination. I want you to be able to acknowledge how far you've come. I want you to really be able to absorb all of those feelings and emotions so that when you move forward, you do so with more confidence because you know you're a boss. You know you're successful and you know you have what it takes to then take it to the next level. If you're not celebrating, you're missing out on all that potential, all that good energy to capitalize from and to essentially attract even better energy. Because this kind of ties in a little bit into manifesting. And it's the more that you believe you're successful, the more successful you will actually be. And how can you feel successful if you're not celebrating your wins, right? So let me know right now, who of you actually legitimately celebrate your wins? And if you don't, let me know, and we're gonna change that. I'll give you some examples. I know I already have, but I've done celebrations where I have wine. I've done celebrations where we pick a different recipe that we've never cooked before, and we go ahead and make that for that night and have fun with it. I've done it where I went out to have all-you-can-eat sushi, which, by the way, I'm not like a raw sushi eater, but I just love like California rolls and that kind of stuff, so all-you-can-eat is like amazing. So yeah, there's different things that I've done. I've gone to the beach for a day. Instead of working and instead of doing whatever I meant to do that day, we said, screw it, let's just go out, let's have fun, and spent like 3 hours out in the sun. And during that, I actually made a point of sitting down and being like, okay, we are here because we're celebrating X, Y, and Z. Whether it's the clients that I landed, whether it's the new followers that I gained, whether it's the nice messages that people sent me, whatever it is that you're celebrating, however little, however small, I want to make sure you're celebrating it because that's gonna make you feel super good. It's gonna make you feel successful, and then you're gonna show up with even more confidence, which is gonna help you land even more clients because people can feel that confidence. They can feel the success kind of like exuding from you, and they want that. They want to associate themselves with that success. So if they were already considering working with you, this new energy is gonna really drive that down and convince them that you are the right fit. Because you wanna, it's like the whole surround yourself by the kind of people that you wanna be like. It's that same kind of energy and the same kind of thought process. You wanna surround yourself by successful people. Not because you're trying to just hang out with the cool kids, but just because you wanna feed off of that energy as opposed to negative energy and people that hold you back. Not to say you gotta ditch all your friends. I'm just saying that it is good to associate yourself and surround yourself with either good people, good energy, celebrations. It's all that positive emotion that will help you move forward. So with that, we walked through 6 points that will help you gain confidence inside of your business. I know there's a couple items that we really could dig deeper in. So if there's anything that I touched on today that you want to go farther into, let me know in the comments, send me a message, whatever it is, and we can definitely look into creating a training specifically on one of those topics. All right, so that means we're out. It's done. I hope you have a fabulous Friday. Let me know if you have any ideas for trainings, anything you'd like some support in, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. I'll talk to you guys later.